Because if you're going to come to this table, and for all of you that have aspirations of running for office, for whatever lived experience and identity that you represent, if you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice.
5 years later.
The greatest racism I have experienced, I have experienced racism, comes from the modern left at a scale unimaginable, because I think they feel a sense of betrayal, saying that you're not speaking in the tone that you're supposed to. You literally did. So Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, I believe not in putting words in anybody else's mouth. I believe taking people at their own terms on their own words. Right? So I don't believe in straw men. Ayanna Pressley, she's in the Congress today. She's a member of the squad. Her words, not mine. We don't want any more black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't want any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. Literally word for word. I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth. Ibram Kendi wrote the book, How to Be an Anti-Racist. I wrote Woke Inc. It was a pretty successful book. His sold more copies than mine. Here's what it says. Opening lines. The remedy to past discrimination is present discrimination. The remedy to present discrimination is future discrimination. So the other side will gaslight you when you say this stuff. It's like, oh, you're just making that critical race theory stuff up. No. These aren't my words. These are the words of the modern grand wizards of the modern KKK. Really. And that's really what this is about.
All right, guys. So once again, we got to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy, because once again, he is triggering the mainstream liberal media, and the attacks against him are turning up. Okay, basically everything I'm saying about Vivek Ramaswamy nowadays is negative, right? Or really, really negative. Okay, but that's what happens when you're a threat, right? When you're a real threat, the mainstream liberal media and others, it's not just the mainstream liberal media, it's also people on the right as well too. They're going to attack you, okay? They're going to attack you, and that's just the nature of the game, okay? And we'll see how he can handle it, okay, whether he falls. But he doesn't seem to be backing down, okay? He is going out and saying things. He is speaking truths that a lot of people on the left, Democrats, progressives, race hustlers really don't want to hear, especially because the man is brown, right? And that is what is happening with this segment right here, as Bakari Sellers, who is a black CNN analyst and former South Carolina state representative, he's going to have a full-blown meltdown over Vivek Ramaswamy calling the race hustlers of the left and the Democrat Party, people like Ayanna Pressley and Ibram Kendi, the modern grand wizards of the KKK, okay? Because, again, the things they say about so-called black and brown people when they disagree with the left, in my opinion, is textbook racism, okay? And this clip right here from CNN is all the proof and evidence that you need to see why the mainstream liberal media is upping the attacks on this man, because they know that he's dangerous. So without further ado, I actually want to go ahead and roll this clip. But before I roll this clip, I have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, Noble Gold. The US dollar has lost 85% of its value since the 70s, when the dollar was decoupled from gold. And the government seems bent on continuing that tradition. From now and up until the next election, the government has free reign to print as much money as they want. And the last time that this happened, everybody knows, everybody remembers, inflation went up 9%. This means one thing. The security of your future and your family's future is all in your hands. Make sure you freeze the value of the wealth you're holding. Invest in gold with Noble Gold Investments. Gold is the one asset that is proven to withstand recession, inflation, and just about all economic threats. Noble Gold is here to help you if you want to invest in gold. You will also get a 24 karat, 1/4 ounce gold standard coin for free. Call Noble Gold Investments today at 877-646-5347 to get started, or go to noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. And just remember, there's a risk with every investment, and there's no guarantee of any kind.
I want you to listen to something that Vivek Ramaswamy said on the campaign trail earlier this afternoon about Democratic Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. Listen to this.
Ayanna Pressley, she's in the Congress today. She's a member of the squad. Her words, not mine. We don't want any more black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't want any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. These are the words of the modern grand wizards of the modern KKK.
What's your reaction to that, Bakari?
Ramaswamy's kind of idiotic when he says that, and this is why his campaign has caught fire amongst some fringes on the right, because he uses these kind of slogans, he uses these tag words, but again, he has no depth. I mean, Ayanna Pressley doesn't need me to explain what she was saying, but if you are going to be someone who represents minorities in this country, if you're going to be a voice and represent them on the largest platform in the world, then you must actually speak truth to power about those issues that directly affect them. That's what Representative Pressley is saying, that you have to be true to yourself, that you have to be uplifting of your community, and you cannot act like the ills that affect black and brown people don't affect you. And for him to call her all types of names is just beneath the dignity of this type of civil discourse. Race is a very, very difficult issue for this country to grapple with. Ramaswamy in that comment showed that he's unable or unwilling or simply doesn't have the intellect necessary to tackle that issue of race by those comments he made.
And quickly, Scott, what are your thoughts?
Well, look, we saw Joe Biden in the last presidential campaign make a comment, akin to this, that you can't be an actual black person if you're not supporting me for president. Republicans believe that there is a viewpoint on the American left that somehow you can't be a full member of your party, of your race, if you don't fall in with the Democratic Party. That's what Ramaswamy was talking about, this idea that being black or being Hispanic mandates that you be a liberal or a progressive or a member of the Democratic Party. You hear Republicans all over the country and races all over the country talking about this. And by the way, there's some polling and evidence to indicate out there that there is a little bit of movement in Hispanic communities and African-American communities towards the Republican Party right now. So I'm not surprised to hear Ramaswamy talking about it, because it's something Republicans are talking about everywhere.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? You seen that, you heard that. Bakari Sellers, who, in my opinion, clearly is the worst political analyst on CNN. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. I've never heard him actually give a good take. Really believes that he can do that terrible spin job of trying to pretend that Ayanna Pressley and Ibram Kendi aren't spewing just flat out textbook racism when they call for discrimination against whites, and then they tell so-called black and brown people that you're not really black and brown if you don't agree with us politically, if you're not a liberal or Democrat. Now, Bakari Sellers tried to spin it, but he actually really did a terrible job of spinning it, because if you actually listen to what he's saying exactly what we know he's saying, which is that you're not really black or brown, you're not a so-called person of color if you don't agree with Democrats and liberals. He tries to say, well, you can't represent black and brown people on the national stage if you're not speaking truth to power about race in this country. AKA, if you don't agree with the left, if you don't agree with Democrats and leftists and woke revolutionaries, that this country is systemically racist, and that, so-called black and brown people are victims, and white supremacy and all that stuff. Basically, yeah, if you don't agree with us politically, you're not black or brown, right? This is exactly what they think. And Bakari Sellers did a terrible job of trying to clean up her comments, because that's how he thinks as well too. And don't sit here and try to act like you allowed to be yourself as a so-called black or brown person. He said that in his little comments there, that, oh, well, you just need to come out here and be yourself. No, you're not allowed to be yourself as a black or brown person. And what he's saying is actually alluding to this idea that, if you are a black or brown person and you're conservative, you're not actually being yourself, right? You're not actually being yourself. You're selling out, okay? You are tap dancing for the white man, okay? You're some type of racial slur. I see it on a daily basis. And this is the type of racism that Vivek Ramaswamy is talking about, that people who don't agree with the left experience from the left. Okay, whether that be from white liberals or whether that be from non-white liberals. If you are a so-called black or brown person, if you're a so-called person of color and you don't agree with the left, then you're just a colored face, right? You're not a colored voice. You're just a colored face, okay? Your voice is actually white, right? This is what they mean, right? This is literally what they mean, okay? Look, read this tweet right here from Mehdi Hassan, who happens to be brown, and he has it out for Vivek Ramaswamy because Vivek Ramaswamy is brown and doesn't agree with him, right? He says, Ramaswamy uses what was once only a neo-Nazi talking point, referring to immigration at the southern border as a, quote, invasion. Nothing worse than brown folks, kids of immigrants, mainstreaming far-right language on immigration. Hashtag GOP debate. Yeah, so again, nothing worse than brown folks, kids of immigrants, mainstreaming far-right neo-Nazi talking points on immigration. This is coming from Mehdi Hassan. Okay? This is the game that he's playing. He's telling Vivek Ramaswamy that this is bad because you're brown, right? You're brown and you can't say this. Because of your skin color, you can't hold certain positions. You can't say that, hey, you know, maybe we shouldn't allow illegals to invade this country. Nah, you can't say that. You're brown, right? You're brown. Again, this is what we're talking about. This is why he said that people like this guy right here, Mehdi Hassan, I'll throw him in there. Bakari Sellers, I'll throw him in there as well too. Ayanna Pressley, I'll throw her in there. Ibram Kendi. Yeah, they are the modern day grand wizards of the KKK because, again, just look at the racism, right? Again, I don't see this type of racism coming from these so-called white supremacists. I don't experience nearly as much racism from them as I've experienced or encountered from, again, these so-called race hustlers of America, the people that's supposed to be fighting against racism. And that's a fact, right? That's just a stone cold fact, okay? I can't tell you how many times I've been called all types of racial slurs. I've had videos about me where in the title they're calling me a racial slur, right? They're calling me a racial slur. It is not the so-called white supremacists doing it. It is the woke supremacists that are doing it, right? They're the ones that are saying the racist things. Again, it's just amazing how that works. But again, you didn't see this type of backlash. I didn't see Bakari Sellers come out here and defend Ron DeSantis when he was compared to the Grand Wizard of the KKK, even though clearly Ron DeSantis is not a racist, okay? But again, when it's Ron DeSantis, and because he's white and he's Republican, when he's called a Grand Wizard of KKK, oh yeah, it's totally fine. Totally cool, right? I haven't heard him say nearly as many racist things as I've heard people like, again, Ayanna Pressley say, or Ibram Kendi, or some of these other race hustlers in America. Haven't heard Ron DeSantis say anything nearly as racist as that, but it's totally fine to come out here and compare him to a Klansman, or basically any white man in the GOP or a white conservative as a Klansman. Even if they haven't really said anything or did anything racist or nearly as racist as some of these woke race hustlers on the left, it's totally fine, totally cool, totally fair game, right? Again, it's just amazing. But what you're seeing here in regards to the liberal media attacking this man, and you're going to see a whole lot of attacks against Vivek Ramaswamy, is because they know he's dangerous, especially when it comes to his race conversation. When it comes to his race conversation, there is not a more dangerous weapon in the GOP than Vivek Ramaswamy, because he can absolutely destroy the left when it comes to his race conversation. Again, he is a living embodiment that if you simply just embrace hard work, family values, personal responsibility, all the things that help people be successful in a capitalist country, even as a so-called black or brown person, even if you are the child of immigrants who immigrated over to this country, you can still be very successful, right? In fact, you can become a billionaire, okay? Again, it's just... It's going to be interesting to see how the race conversation plays up with Vivek Ramaswamy versus the mainstream liberal media, because, again, they're going to absolutely hate the guy. They're going to hate the guy on this subject. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.